everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this gorgeous Cloud 9 scarf. This is a fun and bright project that you can stitch up, and it's very cozy as well. We're going to be using a closed shell stitch, which we've done for other projects in the past, and I know a lot of you really like this stitch, but it definitely produces a fabric on our scarf that is nice and cozy. Not a lot of decorative holes, it's just nice and dense, and it looks lovely too. We're going to learn how to do the stitch pattern, how to also change colors, and we're going to talk a little bit about how wide to make stripes and things like that. So the finished scarf that you see here measures about 8 inches wide and is about 74 inches long. So it's a nice, generous sized scarf that's super cozy in the gray days of winter when you just need something bright and happy. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. I have a larger one here because our yarn is kind of chunky, and a tape measure will be helpful to get the length and the width that you want. We're going to be using a 6.5 millimeter K crochet hook. This is my Furls Odyssey in the blue. If you'd like to get one of your own, I'll put the link down below and a coupon code to get you a discount. We are going to be using this beautiful yarn. Look at these colors. They're so happy and fun. This is called Amigo by Hobbii. And special thanks to Hobbii for sending me this, and this is part of their No Shades of Gray. It's kind of like a collaboration we're doing together that is kind of like adding bright, fun projects to the middle of winter. So really fun, and I picked the most fun colors that I could. But anyway, this is called Amigo Chunky by Hobbii. It's 100% acrylic. And so you can machine wash this as well. Now, each ball of this, I have, because I picked a rainbow spectrum here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 balls of this. This is a 5 bulky on the yarn weight scale. So I'm going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 balls of this. Each ball is 109 yards. So that's 654 yards total of a number 5 bulky weight yarn. So if you need to substitute yarn, look for the little yarn ball on the back of your yarn label. And inside of it is a number. So we're looking for a number 5 bulky. For this particular yarn, I'm going to put the link down below, and you can get some for yourself if you'd like. It comes in tons of colors. I picked like a bright rainbow, but it comes in all kinds of colors. So anyway, this is Amigo Chunky from Hobbii, and I'm using 654 yards of a number 5 bulky weight yarn. Now, as for the colors, this yellow is called 36, and it does come in dye lots. As a side note, if you want to make all one color scarf and you need multiple balls of the same color, this does come in dye lots, so make sure your dye lots match so you don't get any variations. But this is number 36 for the yellow. The orange is number 45. This like pinky lilac color is number 56. This purple is number 60. This blue is number 22. And then this like minty kind of jade green, I would call it, is number 30. So we're going to be using this. We're going to create some stripes. So I'm going to teach you how to do the stitch. We're going to do a closed shell stitch. You may recognize that stitch from our spa crochet along not too long ago. But I thought that the shells would be really fun with the rainbow colors because they sort of look like arches. So we are going to learn how to do the stitch. I'm going to show you the multiples so you can change the width if you like. And we're also later on in the video going to learn how to change colors if you'd like to do multiple colors like mine. So let's get started. Okay, when I'm using lots of colors like this, I like to sort of line everything up in the order in which I'll be making my stripes, and just have everything lined up when I begin. So I'm going to start down at the end of our rainbow spectrum with this green color, and I already have the end. And so let's scoot these out of the way for now, just to get them out of our way a little bit, and grab the yarn that we'll be using. And I'm going to come way in so you can see what I'm doing here. Now, like I mentioned before, we're going to be using the closed shell stitch. This is a really nice and warm, it's decorative, but it's nice and dense. It's not going to be holey, so it'll keep you nice and cozy for these middle of the winter days that are extra cold. So we are going to do a starting chain of 31. Now that's a multiple of 6 plus 1. So if you want to make this into a wrap and make it really wide, or even a blanket, or make your scarf a little narrower than what I'm doing if you want to make it for a child, or like one of those thin like accessory scarves, the multiple is 6 plus 1. So all that means is when you're doing your starting chain, just do a count of 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 and so forth until you get the width that you want, and then add one more chain onto that, okay? So that is our multiple, 6 plus 1. All this information is in the written pattern on the blog as well, and the link is below. So let's grab our yarn, and what we're going to do is put a slip knot on our hook. Now, for the starting chain, one more thing I wanted to mention. Some of you have asked me if your starting chain is too tight. You don't want it to be too tight. It'll pull in at the bottom and distort your piece. You can go up a hook size. In this case, it would be the L hook, and do your starting chain and then go back to the K for the rest of your project. So you can go up a hook size for the starting chain only if you're having problems with tightness, and that is just a really easy way to do that. Okay, so let's put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up that loop and tighten. Now, like I mentioned, we're doing a starting chain of 31. You can change yours with the 6 plus 1 multiple. Okay, so to make a chain, let me come back in a little bit more. We're going to wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. So at this point, you'll want to see, if you're happy with the width. Now I'm making mine a little bit wide. I have lots of yarn here, so it'll be a nice wide, comfy, warm scarf, okay? So for row 1, what we're going to do is in the 4th chain from the hook. This loop here does not count. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into that 4th chain from the hook. So to make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into that 4th chain from the hook, and bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. In that same chain, we're going to work another double crochet. So just go ahead and do that in that same chain, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and then we're going to work a single crochet into that next chain. So let me just back up. If you've never done a single crochet, insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop. Now wrap yarn around hook and bring it through both loops. Then what we're going to do is once again skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and then in that next chain, this time we're going to work 4 double crochets. So 1 double crochet, and then in the same chain, 2 double crochet, same chain, 3 double crochet, same chain, 4 double crochet. Okay, we're starting to make some shells. They're really pretty. Okay, so then what we're going to do is, once again, we're going to skip 2 chains, and in the chain after that, we're going to work another single crochet. What those do is bring your shell down so it fans out, okay? Skip 2 chains in the chain after that, and once again, we're going to make another shell. So work 4 double crochet all in that same chain. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I'm going to pull a little bit more yarn. Okay, then we're going to skip 2 chains after that, and in the chain after those 2 chains, work your single crochet. Round off that fan with that single crochet. And if you need to straighten things out, feel free. Skip 2 chains in the chain after that, work another fan, 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, skip 2 chains. In the chain after that, work a single crochet once again. Skip 2 chains. In the chain after that, work your next little fan or shell, whatever you'd like to call it. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, and 4 double crochet. Now we have 3 chains left. So we're going to skip 2 chains, and in that very last chain, work a single crochet. Just like that. And so we have the beginnings of our scarf. So we sort of have like a half shell here, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 full shells, okay? So you should have something that looks kind of like that. If you've changed the multiples, obviously you'll have a different number of shells. Let's move on to row 2. We're going to stick with the same color for a few rows, and then we'll switch colors later on. But let's keep it simple. We'll switch later. Okay, so for row 2, what we're going to do is chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn our work. Then what we're going to do, in that single crochet that we just worked, you can kind of pull your piece apart. You'll see that big loop there, that single crochet that we just did. We're going to work 2 double crochets into that single crochet from the previous row. You get a little bit more yarn. I was lucky I found the end, so I made my ball center pull. All right, so 1 double crochet into that single crochet, and then your second double crochet into that single crochet. Then we're going to look for the center space of our fan. So remember our fan was 4 double crochets. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. You might need to open it up and kind of pull them apart. In the center space of our fan, so make sure you have 2 double crochets on either side, we're going to work a single crochet. So go right into the center space of your fan and work a single crochet, just like that. Then what we're going to do is work 4 double crochets into the single crochet that's in between our fans. So if you kind of open it up, you can see that little single crochet we worked in the previous row, okay? So go ahead and work 4 double crochets into that single crochet from the previous row. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that, okay? Then once again, we're going to work a single crochet in the center of the fan, that center space of our fan. And then we're going to hop in between the shells from the previous row, and we had a single crochet in the middle. We're going to work 4 double crochets into that single crochet from the previous row. 1, 2, get a little bit more yarn, 3, and 4. Then we're going to go to our next fan right in that center space once again and work a single crochet. Hop to that single crochet in between your fans from the previous row and work 4 double crochets into that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So by working the fans in between like that, they're sort of like nestled together, and you're going to get a really beautiful, thick, comfy fabric, okay, with not a lot of decorative holes or anything like that. Okay, we're going to hop to the next fan in the center space of the fan, work a single crochet, and then in between these 2 fans, this last one is sort of like a half fan, and this full fan that you did, there's a single crochet in between that, so work your 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. Okay, and here we are at the end of the row. So what we need to do at the end of the row is work a single crochet in the turning chain space. So we had our little fan, our little half fan here, and we had a turning chain. You can see it sort of curves out the side and it creates a space. See that space there? You have your chain, you have your stitches here, and there's a space. We're going to work a single crochet into that turning chain space to finish off the row, okay? So for the rest of your scarf, now we have some really nice width on our scarf. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. For the rest of our scarf, we're just going to repeat row 2 over and over and over again. Super easy, and hopefully by a few rows you can have the pattern memorized and just kind of go at it. We are in a few minutes, the next part of our video, I'm going to teach you how to change color. So I'm going to work a few more rows because I want my stripes to be a little bit thicker. But I'm going to show you the next color in our sequence is this gorgeous blue, and then obviously we'll continue with the rest of them, and it kind of loops back around to the yellow. Okay, so what we're going to do is work a few rows, and then in a minute we'll come back and learn how to change colors and then continue with the rest of our scarf. So keep working row 2 over and over and over again until your scarf is as long as you would like it to be. If you're going to be changing colors like me though, stick around and I'll show you how to do that next. Super easy. Okay, just working that last stitch of the row. And now we're ready to switch colors. So as a side note, I worked 8 rows total. So I have 8 rows of shells here, and now I'm ready to switch to the blue. You can make your stripes as wide as you want them to be. You can keep going with this color, or you can switch like I'm going to do. So it's totally up to you. So there's lots of different ways to join yarn. Please feel free to use the technique that you like best. Me, I simply like to cut the yarn, fasten off, and tie the new one right on. So definitely do what you like best. So I'm going to cut the yarn, leaving a long enough tail that I can comfortably weave it in later. Then I'm just going to wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the loop all the way through, and pull. I'm going to leave it laying the same way I just finished, and I'm going to grab my next color. So I'm going to put this back in the lineup in order. And then my next color is blue. Now if you noticed, I did my yarn from the center instead of going from the outside. It tends to roll around more. If that's all you can find the end of, totally fine. I use the outside all the time, but I thought I'd show you. When you have your yarn label, you can slip it off like this and look for, they usually have the outside tucked in to the end of the ball like this, okay? Now you want to keep this far away from the inside of it because they can wrap together and cause a knot. So what I do is I find that outside end and I'm just going to wrap it around nice and snug but not tight. And I'm going to tuck that in so it stays out of the way, because as you're working on it you don't want it to start rolling all around. And then I like to put the label back on. It sort of acts like a little cake cuff. It'll just keep everything in place and nice and neat. Okay, so now that that's back on, what I do is I go into the side here with my 2 fingers, and I go into the other side, and I try to let my fingers and my thumbs meet in the middle so I can feel my finger on either side. And look for that middle centermost piece of yarn and just gently pull. You're not going to necessarily find the end, but you're going to come pretty close to it. So just kind of pull it out, and there it is, okay? Now I pulled a little bit extra out, but that's okay. We're going to stitch that right up. But when you do those 2 fingers like that and try to find the very, very, very middle, you're more than likely going to hit the bullseye, if you will. So grab your end, your new end, and what we're going to do now, we can pull from the center, and as you work, it'll just stay put. Okay, so go back over to your project, and where we fastened off, in that same stitch, insert your hook, leave yourself a nice little tail so you can comfortably weave that in as well. Hook the new yarn on, bring it through, and then just tie it right on, just like that, okay? And now we're ready to go again. So let me get you started. We're just going to get these tails out of the way for now. I'm going to weave those in later. You can hold them along the edge and weave them in as you go, but I'm going to weave mine in at the end, and I'll show you why. Well, actually, I'll just tell you real quick. I like to keep the blue woven into the blue area, the green woven into the blue area. I don't want to see any of the opposite color kind of meandering into the other color, okay? So I am going to weave my ends in later. If you want to just do it now, though, feel free to do that. Insert your hook back into that same stitch, bring up a loop, and now we're ready to begin a new row. So we're just going to do the same thing we've been doing. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work. In that same single crochet stitch, work a double crochet. Then we're going to just repeat the rows like we've done before. Go into that fan. And this is the really fun part of the stitch when you start You might want to kind of neaten up. My knot looked a little bunchy. There we go. Okay. This is where this stitch starts to look really fun when you add more colors, because you're going to start to see how these shells interact with one another, and it's really, really pretty. Okay. So you're just going to work your rows like you've been doing. Just repeat that same row over and over and over again, but now you know how to do a different color. Or if you've run out of yarn, how to add a new yarn ball. Even if you're sticking with the same color, you'll still want to do that at some point. So we're just going to keep going with our rows, changing colors at whatever interval you decided. I'm doing mine every 8 rows and then switching, okay? So you can already see how the colors are starting to interact. So as we move along, I'll go next to purple, then to pink, then to orange, to yellow, and then I'll repeat it all over again, okay? So keep going with the rows, and when we rejoin, I'm going to have lots more colors to show you of this stitch, and we'll do a little bit of finish work. Just finishing up the last couple of stitches of our row, and our scarf is complete. I don't have quite enough yarn to do a whole nother repeat of the yarn, but we have some nice length on our scarf, so it's a great time to kind of wrap it up. So what you're going to do once you finish that last stripe section, or however you're working your colors, what we're going to do is cut the yarn, and then we're going to fasten off. So wrap the yarn around your hook, bring it through the loop all the way through, and just pull it to tighten. Then what we're going to do is, because we have a lot of colors here, we have lots of ends to weave in. So let's do one of them together. Now, I just want to show you before we move on to the weaving in of the ends, how pretty our scarf looks. It's so cheerful. I just absolutely love it. It turned out great. So let's grab our tapestry needle here. And when you have color sections like this, you want to stay in the same color section, because if I start traveling through this orange area, it's going to really stick out. So thread your tapestry needle, and then we're just going to, with each end, stay in the same color area here. And we're going to go, and now this is a reversible stitch. I wanted to also point out, it looks the same on both sides. So you want to sort of stay in the middle of your stitches, because you're going to wear it on either side, okay? And because it's the same color, it's going to really blend anyway. So I'm going to go in one direction with my tail, come back in the other direction, and definitely spend some time with your finish work and weaving your ends, because it really does make a difference with your crochet projects that you spend all this time crocheting. It makes a huge difference to just take a little bit extra time for your finish work. All right, now I went in one direction, I came back in the other direction just to sort of lock that tail into place. And then I'm going to give it a little tug, snip it, and then it'll sort of just disappear, okay? Okay, so I went in and I wove in the rest of my tails, and our scarf is complete, and it's so cheerful and fun. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.